So the Springboks are only hours away from announcing their lineup for this upcoming match up against Argentina, and in this video I will be giving my Springboks XV that I think would be a great option for this contest up against the Pumas. Now the chance of the lineup looking like this is extremely slim. We know Rassi is normally one to have a couple tricks up his sleeve, and I don't think this game up against Argentina will be any different. But for myself in the starting front row, I think the best option to go with here would be number 1 Gerhard Stennekamp, number 2 Malcolm Marx, number 3 Thomas de Toy. Now that is completely different to what I originally predicted, because they do have Oxnashare and they do have Vincent Koch, but I do think that there is a chance that they go with those two men off the bench rather than having them start. Malcolm Marx, he doesn't get a lot of opportunity in a starting lineup with Bongi Mbonambi normally in the squad, though he has not travelled to Argentina. There is a chance, rather than Gerhard Stennekamp in that number 1 jersey, that we could actually see Jan Hendrik Wessels, a man who's been given very rare opportunities in a Springboks kit, but still has had a decent run around when given that opportunity. So perhaps this is one of those games they could look at him as well in the locking duo. Now a lot of people feel like Salman Murat will be the number 4 here with Eben Etzebeth coming off the bench. Now Etzebeth, if he plays in this game, he will become the most capped player in Rugby Championship history, and also he's only 2 away from becoming the most capped Springbok in history. So there's a lot of records that Eben Etzebeth, by playing in this game, can work his way a little bit closer towards, and I do feel like putting him in the starting lineup is actually the better choice here, mainly because he'll have more time to build some chemistry with the man at number 5, which is Ruan Nokia. I feel like that is a great combination. We've seen it work throughout the Rugby Championship so far. Nokia actually stepping up far beyond what some people expected of that man. So in my Springboks XV, I'd have Eben Etzebeth starting at 4. Worst comes to worst, you can take him off 50 minutes into the game. Give whoever's off the bench, whether that's Murat, whether that's Jansi van Rensburg, whoever it is, give them a little bit of time at the end. Have Eben play next week in South Africa. Moving on to the loose forward trio. Now I have gone with Siya Kolisi as my number 6. He looked like he wasn't even going to be playing up against Argentina, let alone the second match up against New Zealand, but he is still travelling with the squad. His injury doesn't seem as severe as it first did. He's a fantastic player to have. Now there is a chance we see Mako van Staden in that starting lineup, and I think it heavily depends on whether or not Eben Etzebeth starts. Because if Etzebeth starts, I believe Siya Kolisi also will start for this game, as he will more than likely be the captain for this game. But then if they go with Salman Murat, I could also see them going with Mako van Staden in this number 6 jersey, but for now, Kolisi is the guy that I think would be the best option. Number 7, Ben Jason Dixon. Last game that he played for the Springboks, it definitely wasn't his best performance. He's only very young in his international career, and he's got a big jersey to try and fill with the fact that normally we see Pieter-Steph du Toit as that number 7. So hopefully Ben Jason Dixon, if he's given minutes here up against the Argentines, he will be able to impress, perhaps get himself a few more minutes throughout the November Internationals as well. Now they could also look at Elric Lowe in the number 7 jersey, but I just feel like his better position in this contest up against Argentina would be number 8. So that is exactly why I've gone with Elric Lowe as my starting 8 for this game. Any time that he's played throughout the Rugby Championship, I think he's impressed. Started well up against the Australians, then from there found himself more as the coming off the bench type of player, with Jasper Wiese returning from his suspension. But Jasper Wiese, I could see them playing him in South Africa for next week's game. Have Elric Lowe in the starting lineup here, with maybe that Wiese impact off the bench alongside Quagga Smith. But moving on to the back line, this is where we will see a few changes, as certain players have not travelled to Argentina. We saw the injury of Grant Williams, which means he will not be there in my number 9 jersey. We also saw no Sasha Feinberg, Ngome Zulu, no Cheslin Colby, no Willie LaRue, just to name a few who have been left behind. So for myself, at number 9, I do think that Jaden Hendrickse would be a great option here up against Argentina. Now, there is a chance that Argentina use Gonzalo Berrano as their starting 9, and I feel like him versus Hendrickse would actually be a really good testing point for Hendrickse, just getting himself some more minutes at international level. Berrano, he does enjoy attacking around the side of that breakdown. Often will go back into the pocket to Santiago Carreras or whoever they have in that fly half jersey, and that is where Hendricks, his box kicks. He might actually have the advantage there, so this could be quite an interesting one if those two halfbacks are selected. Number 10, this is where I think Manie Libbok, this is the perfect opportunity to get that man back in a Springbok kit. Yes, Sasha's been doing phenomenally. Andre Pollard's still going to be your consistent option in that Springbok 10 jersey, but Manie Libbok, he's still in the squad, and he spent a lot of time trying to get back into that starting lineup, all the reserves, and perhaps this game up against Argentina, in fact, maybe even both games up against Argentina, is where we do see a lot of Manie Libbok. But looking through at the centres, Damian de Allende not travelling to Argentina, which brings us a change. In fact, for myself, it does bring the two. Number 12, Lukanyo. He has been playing a little bit of inside centre more recently than the outside centre role. Jesse Krill, he has been absolutely phenomenal. Same with Damian de Allende, but with de Allende getting rested, this is where I feel your perfect opportunity to put Lukanyo in at 12 and then actually add someone else on his outside, and that is Kane Moody. The man can play out on the wing, but the last game that he played on the right wing, we didn't really see a standout performance. I think he's definitely more suited for that 13 jersey for the Boks, and perhaps having Lukanyo in that midfield could be exactly what Kane Moody needs to have a phenomenal performance. Now, a combination that they've tried in the past was Andre Esterhuizen in that number 12 jersey, and then on the outside, they did have Kane Moody, and it found some success. Esterhuizen had a bit of an injury, but he did play for the Sharks in the Currie Cup, so that is a great sign. Perhaps we could see that combo used in the second match up against the Pumas, but for now, I feel like this combination could be an extremely strong one, and worst comes to worst, you can still go Jesse Krill in their number 13 jersey and maybe have either Moody out on the wing or have him coming off the bench instead. But moving on to the back three now. In my Springboks XV, I have got Makazole Mapimpi in that number 11 jersey. It would seem harsh to take him all that way to Argentina not to play him. Definitely because he is one of those guys with experience. Now, if he was a young winger, such as a Kane Moody, I could understand it. They want to get him in that environment on overseas territory and try and show him what it's like to play international games away from home. But we're not talking about a new man on the block. We're talking about Makazole Mapimpi, a man who's got a clinical try-scoring record and a lot of experience for the Springboks out on that left wing. So I would have him start in this game up against the Argentines. Number 14, this is where I have shifted Kurt Liarense. He has been playing a little bit of 11, but he can also play 14 absolutely phenomenally. So I'll put him out there for this contest. And then number 15, this decision's pretty easy because they didn't bring Willy Leroux to Argentina. So Apelele Fassi, I believe, will be the man that they go with in that number 15 jersey. He's been solid under the high ball. His discipline's let him down at times, but even in games where he's got a yellow card, he still seems to be able to have a really strong performance outside of that one moment. And I feel like these games up against the Pumas, it's the perfect opportunity to give him 2 matches back-to-back and just try and build some minutes for him. But then, of course, eventually, we will see Damian Willemse back, and that gives a little bit more of a headache for Rassie Erasmus when it comes to selecting just 2 of those 15s, as I don't know if there's enough room in the squad to have all 3. But that is my Springboks XV that I would love to see play up against Argentina in this first match. The Springboks, they will be announcing their lineup at 8 PM South African time. That will be 6 AM New Zealand time. I am going to be getting up early to let you guys know exactly who is in that lineup. And who knows, maybe we could be pretty close with the team that I've selected in this video. But do let me know who you would like to see in the Springboks starting 15 for this contest up against Argentina. If the Springboks win, they win the Rugby Championship, so that is exactly what they will want to do from this game. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all for the next one.